Hello, so I wanted to show the possibilities of making your custom labels in our L2 printer. So you see it's connected to an OP900, I have my scale, and I have my RS32 cable to the back of my L2 printer. So all you have to do for the indicator side is go to C18, move left, make that to 18, C18-2 for print settings. So when you hold down the print button, it prints the label. C19, make sure that's at 3, it should be at 3, that should be it. So I already have programmed this one, but I'll show you how to program it and what you could do in the programming it. But you see, hold on the print, and you can see as the date of the indicator, the time of the indicator, and the weight. So 1966, you see it matches here. So when making the label, and you'll see when you're on the computer, open the software we have, which you could always get from us, scalelabel.exe. So I'll make this full screen. Okay, so you're here, and what you have to do first is open label. So currently, if you saw the label size, it's a 4-inch by a 2-inch, which I already have some presets here, so you don't have to custom size it. So let's try this one. So you can see my date, the time, the weight, and this is just the word net, which I could change up with double clicking it. And if you're using a larger label, I'll show you how to change out the labels and to make it your own. But this for now, you can see I can move around. Let's say I want my date up here, the time underneath, and my weight down here. Right, so I could do a test print by pressing this question mark here. And make sure to plug in your cable. So there's a cable here that goes back of the L2 printer. So that's this printer. Without this one, it will not send a command from the computer to print. So make sure they're both connected, the one from the RS32 for your indicator and the printer. And you'll notice that test print I did. You see how I put date on top, time, and then the weight on the bottom. But this is very important. If I press the print button, you can see it's the old label. We're at the time here, date here. So you actually need to program in. So how you program it to burn in the software. So I do store current label to printer, click on auto run, and I click store. So now I don't need to plug into the computer anymore, but now this printer, when I print here, it'll be the new label I created. See here? And proof to you it's not just made up. Let me get rid of the hold. 980 pounds. You can see 980, 980. So this is the new burned in label. So now I don't have to program from the computer every single time. If I want to change something, let's say I just wanted every single time I weigh something, it has those information. So that's how you can start moving things around, and you can start actually adding text. So an example would be, let's say, I delete this, pressing the delete key. I could add text up here, and in the text field right here, I could say, Optima scale. So that would be my example company name, and I can make this larger. Right, I double click, and I can make it the font size larger, and I could just bold it. So you see now my Optima scale is burned in up there. So now it's great. Now let me add a field down here, and we'll change this text, but leave this for now. So I'm going to create a VC, which is my variables. So my variables is what the indicator is actually going to put in. In this case, it will be the date, the time, and the weight. And in this case, it says net weight because I'm in net weighing mode. But even if you turn on, let's say, go back to 0 pounds. £0, right? I'm still in gross mode. When I add weight, right? It says net 982, even though I'm in gross mode. For some people don't care. They'd be like, okay, that's good enough. My date, my time. It says net here and it says the weight. Some people it's good enough, but we could change that. So I can move this text down here, and VC are the actual variables. So you can see, remember my default of 2018, January 1st, 2018. This one default is 1:101 a.m. 516 kilograms. That's how you see all these variables here. So you can see variable 0 is a date. So if you saw when I double click this one, you can see it says V2 because it uses whatever the variable default is. So this one, instead of saying text, I want to say V0, which is my date time. So when I test print just to see how the format's going to look, but it's not going to actually input what the indicator says. I'll show you what I mean right now. So let me just test print. Okay, I like how it looks, like my logo is my date and time. But let's say I want to fill it in with my information, with my weight. This is 982. Remember, I mentioned this once, but if I just press print, it's still going to show the old label. It's not going to show my optimal scale up top, my logo and everything else I created for it. So you have to go back to your PC, store current label to printer. Make sure you click on auto run, and if you don't see auto run, make sure to plug in the actual cable for the PC. It should auto scan. Click refresh, make sure it's plugged in, but this has to appear auto run, and click store. You hear the beep, that's how you know it's flashed. And now if I click print, you can see how it filled in the information with my indicator's date, not 2018, but my indicator's date, which was 10/20/2021, and it shows the weight of the indicator, the 900, shows 982. So you see it filled it up with that information from my indicator itself, right? And if I could change the logo up here, I could change different information. But let's say I also want to add a time variable. Again, go back to text. I click that and then click somewhere here. Right now it says text, but let me just format this. And let me close this actually. Let me show you. If you're on V1, remember the V1 is your time. So capital V1. So you see the time shows up. And maybe I could just move this down. And then let me store my current label to printer. Hear the beep, it's good. Let's try it out. Okay, state, or so the company name, my date, my time, my net, and then the weight of whatever I'm weighing, right? So if I change this weight, right, 1962, click print. See, 1962. It updates based on what the indicator is giving it. If we just test print on a computer, it will just print out whatever is matching the date, the time, and weights with on the screen. But that's not practical because you might be weighing something and you want whatever today's date is, whatever time it is, and then the net. So that's good. You know, I have my logo up here. I can move a little bit higher up, right? If I want this my date and time here. And let's say I want something a little bit extra. I could add a bar code. So I click here. So let's say I put, this is my truck 1 2 3 4 5 6, or I could just say 1 2 3 4 5 6. There's a barcode. Extend this out by dragging it along, and you can see this. When I click on this, click on the barcode, and if you click on properties, you can see it's currently on code 128 barcode, which is the most common. You can see the length or where it's located, the size, and what the barcode data actually is. So let's say I want to change this. It's not 1 2 3 4 5 6, but it's 7 8 9 as well. It would add it to there. And let's say I wanted to add, if I want to add some text in front of it, I could, put here. Getting really large. Truck. Right here it says truck, and then I could scan the barcode, a barcode scanner. Let me make my size so I can make it smaller. Right, so there's a lot going on right now, but you can see my barcode. Could always test print, but I want to test it with a real item. So store current label to printer, click auto run, store. And then now when I print out, you see that right there. Shows my logo, date, the time. I put a note right here that says truck. It's always going to say truck because it's a static, constant value. And this barcode is static as well. So whatever I set to the computer, this indicator cannot send a custom barcode to this system. So you have to go back in the computer, reprogram it every single time you have a different barcode. That's kind of why I kept this plugged in, and you can see the date or the net and then the weight of whatever I'm weighing. So these are constant, barcode and the text like optimal scale and then the truck. And I can do the same thing with QR codes. So let me just clear some of this up. So I'm adding my barcode, clicked on that. Oh, sorry, QR code. Clicked on the QR code, put it here. And in this case, let's say I wanted this QR code, whenever someone scans it, they automatically go to my website, optimuscale.com. Let me just make this larger. And it puts that there. Remember, this QR code is a constant QR code, so it's not going to change. Indicator cannot change it. The only thing this indicator 900 will change is the date, the time, and the weight. So QR code is there, and I could store current label. And click print. Right, company name, date, time, net, weight, and my QR code. So you can see the possibility of having my logo, or the QR code I should say. If you have an iPhone, go to camera, and you can actually hover over it, and you see a pop-up appears. See it scanning around it. So when I click on it, it's taking me to my website, optimuscale.com, but you could get directed to whatever website you want, or if you want to direct it to a certain message, whatever you want, you could actually have the possibility. And I've noticed on some older Android phones, if I open the camera, and I try to do the same, some older Android phones will not scan it, so you will need to actually go on the Android App Store and actually get a QR code app that actually decodes these QR codes. Let me see, QR, right, sample like this, QR code, any of these will work. So in the app you'll scan it and it will take an older Android phone to whatever website or whatever link you want to send them to. And if it's a newer Android phone, it should be able to just in the camera app scan the QR code and do whatever link you want. So I'm back here again. So you saw the potential of having a QR code. Just remember, these are all static, same with the barcode, where it can't be changed unless you change them in the computer, re-burn them into the L2 program, and then that'll be your new QR code or barcode. So that's useful for like a company website or something like that. If you're constantly changing labels out and you want a different barcode, you're gonna have to use, we had to write some custom software, for example, and in a Daylog software we have a custom version where you could actually input a certain barcode or something like that, and it will actually print to the L2. So that's how you're able to make it, or you could just make it in software as well. But each time you have to realize that you have to change it up. So it's very useful for things that are static, not gonna change, like your website, your company name, stuff like that. But one thing that this indicator could put out is date, time, and weight. So I wanted to show a very important feature. Let me just put this down, and let me store my current label I have here. Okay, so I have my current label programmed. See, optimal scale, date, time, and my weight. So let's say I don't care about the date and I want to actually remove it. So go on their website, you see on the manual, optimascale.com up here. That'll take you to the home page. And on the home page, you'll click literature and then manuals, and it'll take you to this page right here. See, literature manuals, OP900 manual. Scroll all the way down and you'll see why I'm bringing this up. If you want to change a lot of these settings, there'll be C41 downward. So you'll see on date print on C44, you say do not print a date or print a date. So we'll check that, what it is for now. C44, see it's set to 1. Let's say I don't want the date, so I put that to 0. And save and exit from the menu, pressing the Q. And you'll see very quickly what happens. See my labels here, my company name, the time, and the weight. But you see how I just shifted everything up? This was the first variable, second variable, third variable, but no date. Which is, some of you might be fine. I just want the time and the weight. But realize you might want to shift in your program. You want to shift the second variable here downward. Maybe delete this one if you want. So it actually lines up where it says net and then the weight shows down here. So I can put that back up there. And let's go check back in the catalog. So let's say this time I don't want the date or the time. I want to remove both of them. So C45. So now C45 is displaying the time, pressing 1. So I can change it to pressing enter to go 0. Now print this. And there it is. You see it only populated the first variable here, not the second one or third one, and put the weight here. So again, you want to line this up. Let's say you only want your company name, QR code, barcode, whatever, and then the weight here. You can make that happen. And it will prevent the indicator from actually displaying the date and the time. In my case, I actually do want the date and time. I might actually print something by pressing the print button. So you gotta go check again. Sorry, C44, make that to 1. C45, make that to 1. So I want my date and I want my time. You see Optimum scale, date, time, and weight. So when you're customizing label, you have to put them in the correct order, burn it into your printer, and actually test out, does it look good? The format looking good? And you can disable the date and time printing, and which print mode, like auto, gross mode, or tear mode. That would be an example of I press the tear button and it will tear a weight. You want it to show the gross weight, the tear weight, and the net weight. So I can show you that example with a bigger label, because it's hard to fit all these labels in. So you could actually change out the labels. So let's say you want on a 4" by 6" label. These are like UPS labels. I could actually change this out. So first, turn this off. Open it from the latch from the side. And you can see my current label, these 4" by 2". Some people are okay with, but I want to change it out. I can change it out with this 4 by 6. And I'll widen this up. Make sure it's not too tight, but tight enough. Okay. And you'll see very quickly I had to reprogram it for a different size label. You'll see what I mean. When I click print. So yeah, now I have a lot bigger label, but it's only printing on the first third. So you could actually reprogram it. So what do you do? And we should also have a preset for a 4 by 6" label. So open label. Okay. So let's try this one. 4 by 6. You see I currently only have the date, the time, net, but it's a lot bigger. So I'm able to just move stuff around. So I want my date here. I can start customizing a lot of this stuff. Right, put the company up here. Let's put the time here. Let's add a QR code here. You can put this message here. If you want a text message, I'll be able to go to my website. So I could add maybe down here. And then let me add my company address. Page 4 place, right? I'm not gonna put the full address, but you kind of get the point. I can add another text for our company phone number. I have her on our website. Okay, so I'm still getting here. Okay, so now I have the net, but let's say I want more variables. You can see I have more already here. Let's see the different weights. So this one has a default value. It says default value. So what I actually could do is I can make one that says gross. So for gross weight, I could Control C, Control V, but this one is going to say tear, and then I add another text field here. This is going to be my variable weight, my initial gross weight. Okay, so I'm here. So now go check back into variables. I know it's very confusing, but this is my tear or the net variable. You can see that should be the grow. I think that's the tear and gross. But we'll try it out. V3, V4. So let's make this. So the whole thing. I'm gonna shift it over to V3. No quotation marks, because the quotation mark will show like a string. So see, now it shows that, and then V4. Right, but that was these two variables here, and you'll see why in a minute why I'm doing all of this. Let me store my current label. It's gonna be a lot of testing out. So you see I'm currently in gross mode. Okay, so you see how it displayed 1436 and 1962. Well, that's not correct. I think that's just the default value for the tear. And in my net, that is correct. Why? Because I did not tear anything on the scale. I'm still in gross weighing mode. What I'm trying to do is tear mode. So I want to see what the original gross was. I teared it, and a net. For example, if your application, you're always tearing a bucket, you're always tearing a pallet, you're always tearing whatever, your indicator is going to automatically go from gross weighing mode. And let's say my pallet or whatever, I'm not trying to weigh, I'm trying to tear this out. So I press tear. Right now I'm in net weighing mode. So let's say my net product weight is 980 pounds. And I click print. You see how we're getting a lot closer. Okay, so 1962, but 1962 is actually what I teared. I teared 1962 pallet or whatever it was working on originally. The tear or gross weight, if I didn't tear anything, will be 2942, and my net is 980. So these two are actually switched. So I go back to my software, and easily I could just, change the V3 to V4. Right, swap these two, or I could literally just move this up. Okay, so now let me store my current label, try it again. Now when I click print, my gross weight, if I never tear anything, will be 2942. I teared off 1962 pounds, and my net weight is 980 pounds. You can see my QR code got cut off, but I could adjust that later. Company, date, and time. So it's useful to know. The indicator stores that information, the tare weight, gross weight, and net weight. So let's say I want to move this up so it's not get cut off. And let's say I want to put this. I'll just make it look nice at this point. It's not too important, but you kind of see where I'm going with this. Right, if I want to make this larger, I want to really emphasize that net weight. And I also, it's really bolded, but bold yes and then not bold the other ones. So I could store my current label. And this does take a lot of practice, but press print. Company name, date, time, my gross, tare, net. You see a lot bigger and bolder with my QR code leading to my company address, and my company phone number, which is my phone number in this case. You see how I made a custom label. And if I wanted to change the QR code, I had to go back into software. I could double click this and I could just change this information. But you see how to change it every single time? So the indicator will not change it. Your software has to, unless you want a data logging software where you can manually type in, you will receive the signal for the weight to the data logging software, and then data logging software could send the signal to the L2 to print whatever barcode or custom barcode or custom QR code on the fly. So you will see what the weight is on the screen, because you see this L2 software, or software for making label doesn't actually show how to what weight is currently displayed on the screen. It doesn't know it's 980 pounds. It just sends a signal to the printer to print it or burn the software into the memory. So if you want to, we could actually create a custom data logging software, and you could actually type in on the computer what barcode this is and what QR code you want, and whatever indicator weight is on here will print to the label. But we have to make custom software for the computer. This is just to burn in the printer so it has memory of what to do. So the only things that are constant would be company name, like text, like this, date, time, and the weights will change depending on what you're weighing or what indicator connects to. But the word gross, tare, net, that's constant. QR code is constant, and this text right here is also constant. So the only thing really changing is the date, time, and weights. Which again, if you want to disable, you can disable date and time printing on your 900 indicator, and you'll see right here the weights are dependent on whatever you're weighing. So that's how you make some of the features. And you see there's a couple other things here on here. So for example, say I want to add a picture, I could put one here. Let me just actually, and if I wanted to add, let's say my okay, so I added this company logo. Let's say I want it for toughener. There's a limit to how many pixels you can have, the height and width. So, I could put this here. Let me just delete this information at the bottom. All I want. So instead of a text, I want my actual company logo up here. All right, store current label. And this is one convenient thing about the bigger label. You can see more. See here, picture showed up here. And there's my logo and then all the information here. And if you want to draw some lines, some squares, rectangles all up here. Right, this is for label setup. So this is important. Let's say I'm using a custom label, and you can use any size label you want to use. If you want to use, let's say, something tiny like these labels, you could do that. You put it in here, and in the computer, you put the width of this in millimeters and the height. And then it will reformat this, and you custom label, you burn in the label to the printer, and do the same thing. Like I switched over from this to this. These are just presets I had on, I told you, the open label. I had all the saved on there already, but let's say you don't want to use that, so you can make your own for any size. So this will take any size label that would fit in here. So those are two common sizes, the 4x2 and 4x6. So that's kind of all the features, and you should be able to make your own custom labels, whatever you want, but the choice is up to you. You have an option to make it look as however you want to make it as nice as you want to make